I'm going to go ahead and record this meeting and call this meeting to order. Let's go ahead and have Chief of Staff Peters come up here and do the roll call. And while he's doing that, let me put the agenda on there briefly just so that y'all can see it. All right, here you go, Chief of Staff Peters.
All right. Senator Gonzalez, Senator Niet, Senator Manning, Senator Anderson, Senator Vargas, Senator Waller, okay. Senator Tran,
Present.
Senator McCain, Senator Campo, Senator McNamara, Senator Buchanan, Senator Kirkby, Senator Brown, Senator Templeton, Senator Kai,
Present.
Senator O, Senator Carnes, Senator Holman,
Here.
Senator Santee,
Here.
Senator Reed, Senator King, Senator Minnick, Senator McAdams, Senator Govea, Senator Harlan, Senator Bhatia, Senator Black, Senator Mattern, Senator Khan,
Hello.
Senator Senator Okiki, Chief Justice Burleson.
All right, cool. Thank you, Chief of Staff Peters. I'm going ahead and stop share and move to approve the minutes. All right, y'all have all had a chance to review the minutes. Does anybody have any questions or concerns regarding last week's minutes? All right, seeing none, I entertain a motion to vote and approve last week's minutes. Carried by Senator Vargas, seconded by Senator Everybody. All in favor, please raise your hand or do a thumbs up emoji. All opposed, please raise your hand or do a thumbs down emoji. Any abstentions? All right, seeing none. We'll go ahead and move to open forum. Is anybody here for open forum? Awesome. All right. Well, first up on speaker's podium. Oh, wait, hold on. We have a question in chat. All right. Oh, cool. That is true. If you're on Zoom, please turn your cameras on for the whole duration of the meeting. For speaker's podium, we have Mrs. Ashley Bill, Executive Director of Academic Success. So please welcome. All right. The floor is yours.
Hey guys, it's so nice to see you all this evening. Happy Valentine's Day. I hope you all have wonderful plans after this. President Landry asked me to, sorry. Okay. I know first names typically not so much, but that's how I'm used to y'all. Had asked me to come in just to kind of give you a little bit of an update about our advising sort of ad hoc committee that we've been working on this year, and then also talking about sort of some plans for the rest of this semester. So as many of you know, usually once a semester I would come in, I would meet with a group of you all. Typically it would be when the advising issues really sort of got to a breaking point. I would come in, I would listen for a couple of hours. We would identify the most pervasive issues, and then we would sort of attack those. This year, in talking with the SGA leadership, we decided to go ahead and set a standing ad hoc committee. So I come here every other meeting to make sure that at any time we can look and see what issues are going on and how can we address them. Because sometimes they're one-off, they're just individual issues. Other times they're systemic. It's something that we need to be addressing university-wide or maybe just in a specific college. I will say this, since we've been doing this so much more often, the number of complaints has gone down fairly significantly. And I think a lot of that has to do with us listening to what you've had to say, going back and addressing those issues, whether they were training with a specific advisor or whether that was a policy shift that was allowed us to improve processes. But what I don't want to do is say, okay, we've got less complaints now. We must be good. Let's move on. That's not what we want to do at all. So what I'm hopeful, if you all might be able to have a chance to discuss this later tonight or maybe later this semester, I would like to ask that advising ad hoc group be made permanent. And that is something we continue year by year and make sure we'll have different groups come on. But we do need representation from every single college because while the original group represented the majority of the colleges, the participation has dwindled down now to where we're really only getting feedback from about 2 to 3 colleges. And for me to be able to make a significant difference, we really need to have representatives from all of our undergraduate colleges on the campus. But I would love to continue this in perpetuity. Every 2 weeks, we continue to have these throughout the traditional fall and spring semesters. Because even though maybe we get to a point where there's less complaints, there's still a lot more that we have the ability to do. Some of the conversations that we've had have been on, well, I have to wait to get information back from my advisor, or I don't know what to take. I don't know what my degree plan looks like. But we have a slew of advising technologies already built in to my UT Tyler, to EAB Navigate that students can use. They can create their own individualized planner so they know exactly when they plan to graduate. Because not every student's on the same track. Not every student's going to graduate in 4 years. Not every student has to be or can be full-time. Some of them need to be part-time students, and that's going to extend their degree. There's no one-size-fits-all degree plan. So being able to utilize these individualized components will allow students to create what is ideal for them based on their previous credit and their major and minor combinations. So part of what I would like to use, in addition to still continuing to field these advising concerns, is being able to use this group as a sounding board. How do we get information out to the students about these different pieces of technology? How do we make sure, because in the past we've sort of relied on new student orientation, but that is, if as most of you have gone through, it's kind of like drinking from a fire hose. I mean, you've got so much information coming at you. It's really difficult to remember that 3 months, 6 months, 9 months down the road. So how do we put together a cohesive communication plan that makes sure we target the information students need to know without overwhelming them? Because I understand how many emails you and text messages you all get from having listened to some of these meetings. You are inundated with a lot of things. So how do we prioritize the content and how do we communicate it the most effectively to you all? So that is what I'm hoping really the rest of this semester we can be looking at, both the different advising technologies that we're utilizing. How do we make sure students are aware of all of those and know how to access them and use them? And then the communication plan that goes along with it. Because again, we don't want to do too much, but we also don't want to do not enough. So those are the main areas that we've been talking about so far this year. And again, with this group's approval, I would love to have this group continue year to year. And that way we ensure we have a standing twice-a-month opportunity to talk about things that are going wrong, ways we can make it better. And when new opportunities arise, to share information with students, making sure we use this group as a great sounding board for how we communicate that information out.
Anybody have any questions?
Yes, sir.
Would you
Oh,
mind-
of course. Yep.
Oh, well, I can, if you could just repeat the question. if you
Sure.
mind,
That works too.
That's cool.
Yeah. So right now we've been looking at as far as this group goes, we've been looking just at the complaint section. So really starting next month or the next meeting, that's when my real plan is to start looking at how do we communicate this information out. Right now it's on our website, but that means students typically have to search it, or the advisor might give them the link when they're in the session with them. But how do we actively and proactively reach out to them? That's part of what I'm hoping that this group will be able to give us ideas on. Other questions?
Would this be an SGA or university?
This would be an SGA standing committee. Absolutely. So right now, based on the most recent, this semester, the most recent what we've had, we only really have strong representation from the College of Education Psychology and the Souls College of Business. So the other 4 undergraduate college, School of Health Professions, the School of Nursing, the College of Arts and Sciences, and then lastly, the College of Engineering. Those are the 4 that we could really use additional feedback from this semester. So if any of you are in those colleges and you would like to join, we meet every other week after the SGA meeting. That way you guys are already here. If any of you on Zoom would like to participate, we can continue again to do it via Zoom and have you join us as well. I would very much appreciate that opportunity. Unfortunately not. So my office only supports undergraduate advising. Graduate advising is handled in the individual colleges. There's no cohesive structure for graduate advising at the university. Now, there is someone in the graduate school. Her name is Jennifer Moore. So she is sort of my equivalent for student success programs or academic success programs at the graduate level. So she, if that's something that y'all were interested in doing, she might be someone you would want to reach out to. The difference between undergrad and grad, every undergraduate college employs full-time professional academic advisors. Whereas in the graduate school, we only have 3 colleges that have full-time professional advisors at the graduate level, and the rest are done by faculty, which can cause just a whole myriad of issues because there's no consistency on that side where there typically is at the undergraduate level. But if you are interested, Jennifer Moore and Dr. Queer Makhtari would be the ones from the graduate school. If you might want to invite them in to talk about those options, would be some really good contacts for you to start with. Of course. Any other questions that I can try to answer for you all? Well, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your meeting, a wonderful Valentine's Day, and I'll see you back here in 2 weeks. I always sit at the back row. Come and say hi whenever you want to.
Thank you so much. All right, next one up, familiar face. Our new SGA advisor, Mrs. Camry Tharp. Interim, sorry. All right.
All right. Hello, everyone. For those of you who don't know me yet, Camry Tharp, Assistant Director of Student Engagement. I decided I wanted to come chat with you guys and kind of gauge opinions on things, as you guys are the voice of the student body. So my role includes overseeing student organizations and advocating for student organizations on campus. And so one thing that has come up currently with us is a change in the way that space is going to be available to students. So as you may have heard grumblings of, the University Academy is going to be acquiring the Ornelas Activity Center across the way eventually. And we say eventually, we don't really know an exact date, but I do know that like scheduling of events for students in that space, I think has ceased at this point, and they're honoring like the ones that have already been requested. So the way that space works on campus is that you have to request it. In order to request it as a student, you have to be in a student org or associated with a department or something. You have to be associated with the college and like involved in some way. And so when you request space, you must do it at least 2 weeks out in advance. And then, you know, dependent on if your student organization is a registered student organization, then that request will be, you know, looked at, and then dependent on, you know, a number of things, it'll be approved, right? So additionally, with the OAC going to be taken offline, that means that the camps and the conferences and all the things that people come to campus for that are kind of co-sponsored or even like for-profit are going to have to find a space that's a large meeting area to go to, right? And so what we're seeing, or we will anticipate seeing soon, is kind of an influx of those type of programs into the university center, which is a typical student space, right? And so what we are curious about is, you know, we know that space is always a concern with students on campus. And so we just kind of want to gauge your thoughts on that. And, we are considering some usage policies for the university center with regards to like how it can be reserved, especially like allowing student organizations to have first rights to the space, so that, there's not an issue of like, you want to host this great event for your organization, but it's already been booked out by another group. So wanted to gauge thoughts on that and field any questions so that when we do make that policy, that we're taking the students' opinions into consideration. So open for questions.
Sort of a three-pronged thing. One, I do like that, the student boards do get first dibs whenever it comes to the university center thing for students. Second thing, I think it's going to be a great opportunity for students too, that it will be in the university center because it opens more opportunities for students to just spontaneously network with people that are coming in from the community instead. And also, we have spaces here in like the College of Business and such. Is there any way that we could sort of like basically be like, hey, we would prefer y'all to use this space rather than this space, but if you have to use this space, then it's okay.
Okay, so what Robert said is that he likes that we're considering making student orgs the first dibs basically on the space, and likes that, we have people coming in on campus, but wants to encourage us to give opportunity for them to go elsewhere, encourage them to go elsewhere if people are coming in from off campus. I agree with you. But that's not, this is not all about what I agree with, but, if that's something that the students would like and that works for, the event management team, I think that that is a great idea, to encourage people to utilize other beautiful spaces on campus like the College of Business. And I think that's what we're working towards. The student org or student space being mostly the university center, right? I mean, obviously the whole university belongs in a way to the students, but like the university center specifically is like where you guys are meant to, gather outside of the classroom. And so that's why this whole conversation has become a conversation. We want to make sure that you guys are getting first tips. Yes. Taken away is a very interesting way to put it. So Ronnie asks what spaces will be taken away from students. I don't think that taking away is really what we're doing, but more limiting on the times of the spaces to be used. So the university center aside, we're hoping not to do that. But I know that they're planning in a couple of weeks to change the alumni center space restrictions in order to have a call center there. So, that's a space that a lot of groups like to use for special events. But again, we know that that's a special event space a lot of the time and not typically a meeting space for students. So that's kind of why we wanted to bring it up as a conversation, because their hours would pretty much limit student usage to that, like to Fridays and Saturdays in that space. And then the university center, operating as normal. But what we're looking to do is hopefully allow student groups to book space out 1 year in advance. Typically right now, we only allow student groups to book out each semester after registering as a group. But we're considering changing that policy in order to better accommodate students so that when outside groups come to request usage of the space, we can already say like, okay, we've got these groups that are planning to use it in advance. Because what happens is camps and conferences, they plan out years in advance, like they try to plan out long term, but our student groups have that somewhat of a restriction due to registration. And if you're not involved in another student organization, this probably like falls on deaf ears, but I do want to like share that to those. I know a lot of you guys are involved in other organizations. So yes. So that's, that's again where we will change the policy in a way that we give students ample time to request ahead of time, so that when those other groups come in, we're considering like a 6-month for outside groups and departments. So you would have much more time in advance than they would to prepare. And everything would be dealt with on a case-by-case basis. I approve all student org space requests, and work with Vicky in event management and Dr. Petit, who, I said not Dr. Petit, sorry, Andy Petit, who oversees the university center space. And, case by case, we'll handle it. But that's really why we're bringing it as a conversation. We don't want students to feel like they're being pushed out by an outside group. Right. So, yeah, your question is, what if the student orgs don't have funding to plan that far ahead? But that's why the hope and the plan, again, nothing set in stone just yet, is to allow student orgs to set it up to 1 year in advance, and other departments and outside organizations only 6 months. Yeah, no, I totally understand. That's why I'm bringing it up as a conversation. Nothing's set in stone. And so we're kind of trying to get your input as like, that's a great point. If you guys don't have funding, that's something that you can plan ahead for. But I do know like certain organizations know what staple programs or like the money that they're trying to put towards their programs. It's going to be something that is going to have growing pains. But we are still trying to put students first regardless. And so, we're trying to include you guys into the conversation as far as like what the process could look like. I will include Landry into that as far as like when we change the policies and procedures to make sure that it's going to benefit the students the majority of the time. Sure.
I was going to include this a little bit in my officer report, but I did meet with President Calhoun today, and this was a topic that was brought up. And frankly, whenever and they were saying this in full transparency, they had no idea about the alumni house and the times that were being established and stuff like that. So I now have a better idea of who to go and ask those questions to. And so this is something that I'm going to be following up on and getting more details. So cool. Do you have a question, Ronnie? Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, once this policy goes into place, it would be like from fall to fall, I guess, would be probably what happens. So we try to, as a professional staff member here that plans events, we try to plan a year in advance. And it is hard to conceptualize. We get our budgets at at the end of the summer, beginning of the fall. So that's how we plan. And I imagine that's how the orgs would start falling as well.
Will there be sort of like if we do the full year, will there be some sort of like a reminder there at the semester mark in between the 2 semesters for them to either be like, oh, things have changed, let's cancel those and open up the spaces?
Yeah, that's a great point. And that's something that we would definitely consider putting into that. I think when I thought about what could we do to minimize the effect on student orgs, being that like the OAC is going to be offline. This is our only main space that people love to use. How can we make sure that the students aren't going to book a space and forget that they booked a space, that kind of thing. So I think notifications on that, reminders, check-ins to see like, how can we help you with this event? Do you have any changes? That kind of thing. I think there would be a lot more space reminders, definitely.
Can I input real quick? and just as a general rule, student government's more than likely, and if we're not, we'll make sure that we are, but we're going to be consulted on this before any sort of decision is set in stone. At least that's the goal. So I'm going to be in the loop. Cameron's going to be in the loop. And again, I'm going to be speaking to whoever that is relevant to. So once I've done that, we can definitely keep having this discussion. But do you have any further questions? Quick.
So her question is this going to make it harder to reschedule events if they have to cancel? And I guess, can you elaborate on that? Right. So I think naturally when there are more people utilizing a space, that's going to happen. Is that like there will be tighter constraints around like, okay, we can't move it here, we'll have to move it here. Which is just an unfortunate thing. I know you probably hear it a lot. It's just a growing pain right now for us. And we're hoping that, you know, eventually, and I think they've talked about it in SGA before, but like as we grow and we get more buildings, or maybe potentially there will be a meeting space in a residence hall. We don't know. But in the time that we have to like make this shift while the other building is going to be offline, it will probably be uncomfortable. Yeah.
And there is to kind of going to be a domino effect when it comes to all the different locations that are going to be kind of, I guess, not closed, but closed for certain times. That was one thing that President Calhoun and Chief Staff Venter reiterated, is that this could be relating to that kind of domino effect of having to move different departments into different places. For example, testing center just got moved into the library, right? And so, or it's at least being planned that they're going to be moved into the library. And so it's part and parcel of a bigger problem of they're just getting started on getting things bigger. And this is kind of going to be the process for a little bit. The important part is that we have clear communication with administration, and that there's a clear procedure for these types of cases. So that is definitely something that I will be paying close attention to.
Yeah, one more thing on that before I go. I know y'all are trying to get out of here. Valentine's Day dates, y'all look very nice. So one more thing on that is that nothing can be changed without consulting the students. We don't want to change anything without consulting the students, especially usage policy on the UC. So that has to be like a conversation. So
Thank you very much. Awesome. All right. I'll go ahead and move on to officer reports. As I kind of already mentioned, I met with President Calhoun today, and it was a very productive conversation. I also updated him on recent stuff with UT-SAC, just some of the efforts that we have going on, especially relating to micro-credentials and student resources, and consolidating those to make sure that they're in one area. I'm proud to say that UT Tyler actually does a decent job having a one-stop center and a physical location, whereas a lot of other schools do not have a one-stop center or a physical location for it. So be happy. The other things that we discussed was increasing student worker opportunities, increasing student worker jobs on campus that will offer a more attractive job for once upon you graduate, you can put that on your resume and be a much more marketable candidate. So that's still all in the works. And yeah, I'll go ahead and pass it off to Vice President Bennett.
Mainly a lot of what I've been working on is in events committee, so I will save it for committee.
Kind of the same for me, but I've just been working on the posts, and yes, the rest is in committees as well.
I got a little bit, but it's not too much. I actually wrote it down because I always forget things. So last week, I actually emailed back and forth with Joy from the African Student Organization and Derek from the Chi Sigma Iota Honor Society. over the steps and requirements for SGAC funding. And then I don't know where Joy got it, but they sent me a 2017 version of the SGAC request form. So that was cool to look at, but I sent them the right one. So I don't know where that's at. And then I also spoke with Rama from the Muslim Student Association about the options and what they could do about how to handle their money. They're asking about like bank accounts and stuff. So I kind of like referred them to the student organization handbook and kind of told them what I do personally. And then I had my Costa Rica meeting last week. And so I took the opportunity to drag, let me say, Vice President Bennett along with me. So we talked to Cynthia about what we could do if they had any ideas and what we could do during homecoming / midnight breakfast. And she said that they are willing to help in any capacity that they seem fit. So that is kind of exciting. And then last thing, I would like to meet with anyone who is interested in being treasurer next year. So I am open to talking about anything you guys want to. So yes.
Just worked on finishing the presentation we're giving today, and that really reminded me. If anyone's interested in being chief of staff, I'm open to meet, you know? Yeah.
So my executive board kind of beat me to it, but in the announcements, I'll just say it really quickly. Spring elections is coming up, as y'all voted on last week. Sorry, I was not there. But if any of y'all are interested in a position on the executive board, you are more than welcome to contact me or any one of the executive board members whose position you might be interested in. And we can definitely set up a time just to kind of go over what it's like, what your roles are. And we would be more than happy to honestly probably send you the documents that kind of help inform us of the job that we do. So if you're interested in that, highly encourage it. It's just a whole different side of student government. Also get to see a whole different side of the university, even further past what y'all get to see just being in student government as a senator. So highly encourage it. Let's go ahead and move on to committee reports. Events committee.
So like Treasurer Luna said, we spoke with Cynthia over in OIP. So we are having, and so they will be most likely helping us with midnight breakfast. So we are having the council of presidents next week on February the 20th. That is in the month on Monday. Y'all aren't required to be there, don't worry. So it's been reserved. We got things going. So we got stuff coming in. If y'all have not registered for the big event, it is a required event. Register now or right after this meeting. If you don't show up, I'm gonna be mad. So it is March 4th from around 9 a.m. to around 1 p.m. So it'll downtown, I believe, still. Midnight breakfast again, March 22nd. If you're here on the main campus and you're not there, we're gonna have an issue. And then we're still working on the dates for banquet and whenever we will be visiting the Houston campus as well. And we did come up with dates for finals bags. So we will do Monday, April the 24th. It'll be general. We'll be there in the UC. We'll also be back in nursing on Tuesday the 25th because we have a ton of stuff for nursing to give out. And then on Wednesday the 26th of April, we will be there in CAS. So whenever we get around to it, those senators, I will be coming and talking to you about tabling with me for those events. And yeah, that's about it. So I'll move on to communications.
Yes, so we've still kind of continued discussing like the direction of the Instagram, and we're going to start making headway on the post for the events that Robert just mentioned, and we were also brainstorming some midnight breakfast themes, which we'll present to eBoard tomorrow, I guess. So, and then I also wanted to say if anyone has any ideas for posts or anything, like you don't have to be in communications committee. We really want to hear from you guys. The direction of the Instagram, because we want you guys to love it and want to show it off too. So
then for SGAC, last week we met with Beta Alpha Psi and they were approved for $234.96 for McAllister Deli sandwich trays for their event on the 28th. As a reminder, they're doing a diversity and inclusion meeting where they're going to have this speaker in attendance. And then tomorrow we'll be meeting with two groups, the Pre-Health Student Association and the Rolling Patriots Guild. PHSA also requested kind of late, but should be fine. So that'd be cool to see. And then lastly, I wanted to emphasize the importance of going to your committees because I only had 2 people show up last week and I need a minimum and like the bare minimum of 3 people to actually have a meeting. So thanks.
Finish the presentation we're giving today. So
Environmental sustainability.
We met today. Nothing too crazy. We're planning our 2 events and yeah.
Cool. All right. We'll go ahead and move on to student voice reports. We'll start with the College of Arts and Sciences. Senator Gonzalez, do you have anything to report? Okay.
So last week, the College of Arts and Sciences hosted a pre-theology moderated discussion panel. It went well. The speaker came from the Brook Hill High School, a doctor of philosophy, and talked about some different concepts. And then the following day on the 9th, there was the College of Arts and Sciences career fair. And I think that's it.
The other cast senators are not here, so we'll go ahead. Oh, let's go for it.
So mostly this is like a really small thing, but a lot of kids in CAS have been talking about the desks. They do not like the rolling desks. At some point, if CAS senators and maybe other schools where they also have those desks, we could get together and talk about maybe a plan to keep more organized in the classrooms, kind of come up with like a little system. That's something worth noting. Also, I don't think there's any other poli-sci or history majors in here, but there's a CAS event this week for it. Meet and greet with professors. Y'all probably don't care, but you know.
I care, being a history major. All right, College of Business. Senator Buchanan.
There's not a ton to report. One thing is that the printer is broken in the computer lab, and it's been broken for like the last 2 months. And so I've gone to the dean's office about it, and they're like, "Yeah, we'll get it fixed." And then it doesn't get fixed. So I'm gonna make sure to get that working because people complain about printing and having to go all the way to the library for that, which makes sense. It's a long walk. And then yeah, events going on. So management marketing did a bunch of the stuff for the Hawaiian night over at the basketball games last week. And that went really well. It was a really cool event. So I got to go to that. And then for accounting and finance department, they're using their student success funds to do a thing called Fable Fest, which stands for Finance, Accounting, Business Law, and Ethics Department. And so they're going to have like a bunch of giveaways and sponsors, local community, and then have like a networking event through that. So those are like the 2 big events going on, or one that went on and one that's going on for the College of Business. But other than that, not really anything crazy going on, just people busy with school. So
Please make sure to tell them that the camera in room 111 is also not working. All right, let's go ahead and move on to old business. Oh, I'm so sorry. School of Nursing. It's been a long day. All right, School of Nursing.
Okay. So basically, we had a meeting with the dean, and we were basically discussing a bunch of issues, and I just brought up a bunch of issues that we were having at the Palestine campus. So I feel like the biggest issue that we have is that we have labs that last like the entire day basically, and we have our tables in our labs. We have lab from 7 a.m. to like 3 p.m. So the fact that they don't have outlets is kind of like, yeah, there's nowhere to charge your devices, so they have to like move to like where the simulation like beds are, and so it's like very inconvenient for you to be taking notes and trying to like learn and not have anywhere to charge your devices. And then there was also housing, like I brought it up, and they said that they have mentioned it, which contradicted what we had discussed, because they'd said that housing and the distance locations weren't needed or like weren't seen as being like in high demand, but the dean was like, we've actually like discussed this before and it's been brought up every time, so it's just something that hasn't been done. But yeah, I'll just pass the phone.
So we also talked about the ceremonies that we have. We have a white coat ceremony at the beginning of nursing school and then a pinning ceremony at the end of nursing school. They're talking about just taking away the pinning ceremony. altogether, because a lot of nursing schools don't even do it anymore. It used to be like the little cap ceremony, but we don't wear those anymore. But they're talking about taking it away, and I didn't really like that, just because at me graduating in the summer, I'm not going to have a graduation, or I'm going to have to come back for the fall, which I really don't want to do. So the pinning ceremony was going to be like my graduation. If they take it away, then it's just like, oh, anyways. Then we talked about the expansion of the nursing school. That's going to be done by 2025. Fun. And then related to that, we did a deconstruction of the garden in the front. There's going to be a reconstruction whenever they like start building, And then we talked about the Global Health India trip a little bit, and what you can do if, like, I'll be graduated by that time, but if I wanted to go, they told me I could apply as a grad student, which is really cool. And I don't even have to be in grad school. Like, I'm not going to grad school yet. So they're like, you can still apply and get student credit, which is really cool. I had no idea. And then some of the certificates we talked about. Care data analytics, nursing informatics. I didn't know we had those like certificates, which is really cool. And that's it.
Okay. We also talked about how we don't have like any food. So in the Palestine campus, we only have one vending machine, and it's like the high school, the university academy. They like come in, like those high school students. They also like use the stuff. So basically, all we like survive off of is the Keurig cup. So yeah. Yeah.
And you said the outlets were at the Palestine campus, or lack thereof. Outlets was at the Palestine. Yes. Oh, okay. Well, that's convenient. Okay, cool. And you said the pinning ceremony, they're discussing taking that away. Okay. Okay. If y'all could like both email me what y'all just said, that'd be great. Okay, cool. Let's go ahead and move along to old business. I entertain a motion to discuss the rules presentation. All right, here you go, Chief of Staff Peters.
It's blinding.
Sorry. What you told?
Okay, so is it up there? All right. So the change that we are presenting today is a requirement that General Assembly, the time for it, occurs on Tuesdays at 5:30 p.m. So it would be setting the time in the Constitution so that all future student governments, that is the time that we meet at General Assembly. And the text in red is the text that would actually be added to the Constitution. And I have 3 reasons there. It would establish a set time of General Assembly in the Constitution for future student governments. It would allow senators to build their schedule around General Assembly so that no one is unable to attend. And it would allow better public knowledge of our meeting time for organizations and departments. That would, foster more participation from them since they know when we actually meet. So we also have a second change, and don't worry, I'll show a picture after this that shows both of them that we're planning on adding. It is a naming section. So as you can see in the text in red, it would sort of define our name as an organization. And this language is similar to what a lot of other student governments do at different schools. And it would put us in line with them as it says there. So it would clearly introduce us in the preamble, and it would establish our formality. So that is the naming section. And then this is a picture of the changes in action in the Constitution. And these are the official changes that we'll be voting on. So yeah, that's it. Any questions?
I just want to reiterate the purpose of the first change that was discussed, establishing a permanent meeting time. As Soren pointed out, it helps everybody else in the university know when student government is meeting. So hopefully if they want people in their groups to participate in student government, they can try and plan their meeting times around it. And it's not me trying to be mean and say your groups don't matter. But it is trying to say that we want participation. We want your group to be involved in student government. And so we want to try and make it as black and white as possible about when we're meeting. And the other point is that whenever you run in an election, and this happened last year, people ran in elections and they did not know whenever student government was meeting. Whenever they registered for classes in the fall, those classes conflicted with the established time. So this would make it to where people know when student government is going to be, whether if they want to take a class or not, that conflicts with that time, that's up to them. But last year, myself, I went through like almost 40 individual schedules, put them all in one calendar, and I still had people that were not able to join, choosing the Thursday 5:30 time. So Tuesday 5:30 time has been popular for some time now, and so I think it is a good idea to make that time to permanent time. If student governments far in the future find out that this conflicts, they'll have to go through the same process for removing it as we do for putting it in. But I think this makes it easier for everybody, especially for people that are running. Any questions? Senator Vargas.
Motion to vote to approve the changes proposed to General Assembly's time.
General Assembly times. All right, motion by Senator Vargas, seconded by Senator Black. All in favor of, here, let me put the official language for the General Assembly time. We are just voting on the General Assembly time, by the way. So all in favor of establishing the General Assembly time and voting on the specific language that is set here in the presentation, please raise your hand or do a thumbs up emoji. All opposed, please raise your hand or do a thumbs up emoji. Any abstentions? All right, that is official. Senator Vargas.
Motion to vote to approve the proposed changes to the naming in the preamble.
Motion by Senator Vargas, seconded by Senator Carnes. This is, and I will reiterate just for the sake of clarity, this is just voting for the naming section as Senator Vargas stated. All in favor of adding the naming section to the Constitution as presented in this presentation, please raise your hand or do a thumbs up emoji. All opposed, please raise your hand or do a thumbs up emoji. Any abstentions? Awesome. High five. Cool. All right. Awesome. You do not know how weirdly excited I am about that. So, does anybody have anything for new business? All right. Seeing none, we will go ahead and move new business. If you have something to bring up, you can bring it up now. Okay. Senator Templeton.
Senator Templeton, how you guys doing? So I, like most of us, I'm sure, live on campus. My problem has been regarding the meal plan. I think living on Patriot, if you utilize the kitchen and all the amenities and you buy stuff, I don't know if I'm the first person to bring this up, but I feel like I shouldn't have to pay $800 for something that I don't actually use. The one meeting, was that the meeting, that my first one where they came in with the student services, the nice gentleman and then the new guy? It was funny because like I couldn't vote and I was like, man, I wish I would have said something. But yeah, I just think $800, especially for someone who is, trying to save money. I would rather utilize the $800 towards a budget towards Walmart, weekly groceries, that type of deal. So if it could be possible to abstain from purchasing a meal plan, I think that would be awesome.
I'm almost positive I brought this up my freshman year, which that seems like forever ago. I'm pretty sure I brought it up, and I think it has to do with the contracts with Sodexo. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, we have a contract with Sodexo. I am perfectly fine coming out and saying that I have many qualms with the contract that we have with Sodexo. That was one of the things that I actually think I talked to you about that a long time ago as well, because yeah, but yes, so we're currently in year 5 of a 10-year contract with Sodexo. So as soon as that contract has come up, administration already knows to consult student government on that because of what we said in the past. So as soon as that gets brought up, we're going to consult on that. But if you want more information on that, we can meet offline and discuss that. Awesome. Great point. Senator Minnick.
Whatever you do, so you can submit your work to be featured in a student-run magazine. So please submit that. If you have any questions, it's like, what's UT Tyler Inspired Minds?
Submit artwork to UT Tyler Inspired Minds. All right. I entertain a motion to close new business. Seconded, carried by Senator Vargas, seconded by Senator Black. Cool. Advisor comments. You can stay there. It reaches.
Just keep in mind, if you have anything to say more about the space concerns, please reach out to Landry. Landry and I are in communication, as well as I'm advocating for you guys. I want y'all to know that. That's why I brought this up here. So open to suggestions and opinions and thoughts and concerns.
Great. Awesome. All right. Senator of the Week. I know. Senator Vargas, congratulations. Senator Vargas was nominated for the great work that he does inside student government, and especially the great work he does outside of student government, whether it be with the College Peer Partnership Program or sitting on university committees trying to find a new dean for the College of Education and Psychology. So we just wanted to thank you, Justin, for all the hard work you've done, especially as a long-term senator. So thank you. All right. Let me just throw the agenda back up there really quickly. The spring elections, I said this already. If y'all want to shadow anybody on the e-board, please let me know. I am more than willing to show you what all we do. Any of these guys are more than willing to show you what all they do any given day. So yeah, just let me know. Senator Vargas. Motion to adjourn by Senator Vargas, seconded by Senator Carnes. All in favor, please raise your hand or do a thumbs up emoji to adjourn this meeting. Any opposed, please raise your hands or do a thumbs up. Any abstentions? All right. Happy Valentine's Day. Y'all have fun. Bye, Zoom. How's it going? Hold on. Let me stop recording.